all last night I was pondering about how I can take the current educational program that this guy that I'm working with is selling and turn it into $100 million a year business. And he is probably the most niche economic person in the world. He knows more than I would say any person that has ever lived about this subject. So he is the most credible person in the world. But what we're currently doing, I don't see it scaling over a few $1 million per year, no matter what we do. Unless unless we take what he's doing right now, we're just selling it organically via social media, etc., just doing organic stuff. There's only one way that I think he could scale this to $100 million a year, let's say, because he's not selling get rich quick. He's not selling you different stock picks. It's not Aura or these other guys who are selling you how to get rich. He's doing is selling you the education so you can learn. And there's a different community of people who just want to learn about stuff compared to actually just get rich. I mean, obviously, people would rather get rich than just learn as a hobby. So his product is for a different clientele. They can be better investment decisions, but that is completely beside the point. What I'm going to talk about is my thought process as to the only way we could scale this to $100 million a year. And I was thinking about this all last night. It was just I would have to partner up with schools. Stuff like, for example, my girlfriend, she goes to a business school and they all have Bloomberg terminals, which is a few $1,000s per year. So obviously, Bloomberg has some sort of deal with the school to where their students can have Bloomberg terminals or they can have X amount, which that is a huge deal because they're super expensive. What if I did the same thing with this guy and I went to these kinds of economics types of schools and said, all right, you have 5,000 students, a few hundred economic majors or whatever. And we formulate some sort of deal that is selling his product per students that they have at the school. And then all of the students get to use the product for free because it is the best educational source, I would say, for this niche subject on the face of the planet. And if I could convince them and show them that that was the case, I think there's a reasonable chance I could get these schools to want to partner up and buy the program, or not the program, but the educational source, or a yearly cost of the educational source. And then I would say, hey, do you know any other schools that are doing this? And I'll give you a bit better discount. And then continue that same cycle, going to school to school to school, asking for recommendations for other colleges, etc. And I don't know, there's a few thousand colleges in the country. If we can get, 20% of them, that's how you can make a few $100 million a year product from strictly education. That is completely opposed to what we are currently doing purely organic. And this is just a thought experiment. There is no way with my current network I could ever achieve this because I don't know anyone high up in the school systems or the politicians, which is who you would need a lobby with if you really wanted to kind of partner and make this thing come into fruition. This is just a thought experiment, kind of me thinking outside the box as to how we can actually incorporate or how it would be possible to turn this into a few $100 million per year business. Because what we're currently doing, it won't scale that high. I know that for a fact because there's no way. Anyone that would look at it would say the same thing. The reason why I was thinking of this is because I was talking to somebody who sold insurance to the Christian church. And he's like, do you know who the number one supplier in the world of insurance is? I was like, I don't know, Amazon. I was thinking of the big businesses. He said, no, the Christian church. And that's when my head blew. I was like, wow, there's billion-dollar companies just around servicing certain kinds of people or certain communities or certain niches. So why can't I change the niche because he's selling education and sell it to colleges? Because I also know I know Hedgeye, who's pretty big in the education, but they're more kind of stocks and macroeconomic related stuff. They are now partnering up with schools and doing these same type of programs. We're saying, hey, your students can all have a free access to this Hedgeye account. In exchange, you'll pay me X amount of money per year. If I could figure out a way to, I'm not going to say get in those circles, but that is what it would come down to. And the reason why I know this is because there's a buddy, if you were watching when I was at that mastermind group that is $50,000 per year that I get to attend because I'm buddies with the speaker or the people who own it. This guy ran a restaurant and I was like, I don't understand. I know he's parking his excess cash into real estate, but I don't understand how he's here. Like, this is a lot of money that you're spending as a restaurant owner. I know you're super busy. And so we were talking and he was like, yeah, well, I own the restaurant, but that gave me really goodwill in my community, and I am friends with the mayor of the city, and everyone, all the kids at the school were complaining that the food sucked. So what did they do? They partnered with this guy to supply all the food to the city for all the schools. And I was like, holy shit, what are the margins on that? And he's like, well, every school day we're making about $50,000 per day profit. And I was just like, my head was blown per school. And now he's doing that with multiple schools. And I was like, holy smokes, that is unreal. That is the power of partnering with these government funded agencies. That would be insane. That would completely change the dynamic of my entire business and living. Not even my business, but all I would do. Let's say if I could find a college that wanted to take on this guy's educational source, and I met the president or leader, whatever the hell, the CEO. I don't know what the hell the president or the leader of a college would be called. Who knows? What I would say to them is, dude, I'll give you this discount if you can recommend 3 other schools that you think would be interested in this product. I'd go to them, I'd get more clients, and I would do this, and I would do that till I talked to every single school in America. And that would take a few years. I would literally probably be in a plane 250 days a year because I would be talking to every single person that I could possibly, because there would be such a big economic opportunity to do so. Because if you could close a school, you could literally get a few $100,000 to a few $1 million per year, depending on how many people would be using it. And then you could do cities. It would be absolutely ridiculous. And another reason why I was thinking of this, that this might actually be possible in the future, and if I ever get the opportunity, this is what I'm going to try and do for this guy, is there's a guy in the White House who almost became president. He was the Democratic leader who actually almost won within the past 30 years, I'll say. He's still alive. And a lot of you would recognize his name. He is a huge fan, and he is actually telling people in the White House to subscribe to this guy's educational platform because it is the best education in the world on this niche subject. And I would say that hands down, that those are the people that I like to work with, the people who can create the best possible product because they are a one of one in their field, and they just need help showing the world their product. And that is the people that I'm trying to work with and really take to the next level. So if I ever get the chance to maybe meet that guy, or if he ever wants to meet the guy that I work with, I'm going to make sure I'm on that conversation, because what I want to do is say, hey, how can we get this more known? How can we get this implemented in schools? How can we do all this and that and that? That would be the goal for me, because I want to make money from this, obviously. And I think there's such a huge opportunity. So this is just simply a thought experiment. I'm doing nothing with this information, literally nothing. All I was doing is this is what I like to geek out at when I'm thinking through my thoughts at night or driving in the car. I'm just like, well, how could you scale this to $1 billion? What would be a realistic way to do that? Not like what is the high level overview of how this could scale to $1 billion? I think about different scenarios like this way too often. And I think that clouds my judgment instead of just going through the day to day. But that's what I find so fun. Like that puts a huge a smile and excitement on my face, trying to think through these different problems and scale it in my mind as to how to work. And I would say, well, actually, it wouldn't make sense for me to do that. Instead, I should do this, even though none of that's realistic. I don't know why I like to geek out on it, but maybe if people like these kind of thought experiments that I think through, I'll share some more because I do this too often. Maybe that will also make me think through these more, which is bad for me. And I know it is, even though it's fun. It's a good hobby, but not when I should be doing business. I've been slacking off this week. Thanksgiving, haven't done work, did barely any work Friday. Today's Saturday, and I didn't really do any work. I'm ready to get back to work. I think it was a good vacation, but today I was watching TV and my eyes were like twinkling, or not twinkling, but it was tough to see the TV because I've been exposed to so much technology. And I want to really practice only being on technology when I'm doing work, but that is not the case. When I'm relaxing, I want to be watching anime or watching a show. So I need to find some sort of middle ground there because I don't think it's good for my rectums and my eyes to be nonstop looking at a bright light. I don't know what the long-term side effects what that would be, but when I'm looking at my screen for sometimes 10 plus hours per day, that can't have good long-term benefits. So I don't know what to do. I don't know what to do with that information. Happy holidays. Goodbye.